December 26, 2004. It was the morning after Christmas. Families relaxed on beaches, tourists enjoyed the ocean, and fishermen prepared for their day. But beneath the sea, a monster was about to wake, one that would kill over 230,000 people in just a few hours. What is this? What happened next? How did this happen? And what was the impact? Let's take a closer look at each of these questions. First of all, what is this? This was the Indian Ocean Tsunami. It was a series of enormous waves that spread out from the northwest coast of Sumatra, Indonesia, and affected 14 countries around the Indian Ocean basin. Next, what happened? So the tsunami was caused by a massive 9.1 earthquake that struck just off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia. It was one of the strongest earthquakes ever recorded. It ripped open the sea floor and released tremendous amounts of energy, equivalent to roughly 23,000 Hiroshima atomic bombs. As a result, a huge amount of seawater was displaced. Moments later, according to most survivors, massive waves began to rise up from the ocean. They raced across the water at jet plane speeds, crashing down on coastal communities with little or no warning. In Indonesia, where the earthquake and tsunami occurred, entire towns simply vanished within minutes. In Thailand, many tourists on the beaches had no warning before being hit by the giant walls of water. Entire families were washed out to sea. In Sri Lanka, some people reported seeing the sea recede before the giant wave hit. Many people went down to the shore to check it out. But when they did, it was too late to escape as the wave crashed ashore. In India, the tsunami caught many people off guard, especially those in low-lying coastal villages who had never before seen such a large wave. In some areas, entire fishing fleets were wiped out as boats were dragged out to sea. Some of the waves were as high as 100 feet, 3 stories tall. They roared inland for more than a mile, destroying everything in their path. Buildings were leveled, trees were uprooted, and debris was strewn across the landscape. Even as far away as East Africa, thousands of people were swept away by the force of the water. What happened next? Now, to understand what happened next, let's have a look at the impact. While the impact was devastating, more than 230,000 people lost their lives across 14 countries. Millions more were left homeless. Children were torn away from their parents. Families were destroyed forever. The tsunamis struck so quickly and with such force that people barely had time to react. Many who survived were injured, and the scenes that followed are still etched in the memories of survivors. As the waters receded, they left behind a trail of destruction and an even more horrifying sight. Bodies lined the coasts for miles, making the cleanup process one of the most daunting tasks. Survivors described the scene as the ocean turning into death itself. Hospitals were quickly overwhelmed with casualties. The extent of the damage became clear. Entire communities were wiped out. Homes and businesses were destroyed. Crops and livestock were washed away. The economic impact was staggering. Fisheries, tourism, and agriculture, key industries in many coastal communities, were devastated. The world watched in shock as the full scale of the tragedy unfolded. It was a stark reminder of the immense power of nature and the fragility of life. And this raises the question, how did this happen? So we know now that the tsunami was triggered by a massive earthquake, but what caused it? Well, it was caused by the sudden release of energy along a fault line on the seabed. You see, the Earth's outer layer is made up of several large and small plates that are constantly moving and can slide past one another. Now, along the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia, there's a fault line where 2 of these plates meet. The problem is, these 2 plates are moving in opposite directions. The Pacific plate is moving to the northeast, while the Australian plate is moving to the southwest. And this creates a lot of friction. That friction builds up stress along the fault line, and every few hundred years, the stress becomes too much and the rocks suddenly slip, releasing a tremendous amount of energy. And that's exactly what happened on December 26, 2004. The rocks along the fault line slipped suddenly, releasing pent-up energy that had been building up for years. This energy was equal to 23,000 Hiroshima atomic bombs going off at once. And this released energy created powerful waves that spread outward in all directions. But why did so many people die? Well, part of the reason is that there was no proper warning system in place at that time in the Indian Ocean. You see, tsunamis are not like regular ocean waves. They're much more powerful and destructive. They move huge amounts of water and can travel thousands of miles across the ocean. At speeds of up to 500 miles per hour, when they approach shallow water near the coast, their speed decreases, but their height increases dramatically, and this can cause massive flooding and destruction along coastal areas. In the Pacific Ocean, there is a well-established tsunami warning system with buoys that monitor seismic activity and can send alerts quickly to coastal communities. But at that time, in 2004, such a system did not exist in the Indian Ocean. The people had no idea that a tsunami was coming. Also, the earthquake that triggered the tsunami was very deep. It was about 25 miles beneath the ocean surface, and this made it difficult to feel the intensity of the quake on land. Many people didn't realize the severity of the situation until it was too late. And here's another. Most of the countries affected by the tsunami were not prepared for such a disaster. Resources for early warning, rescue, and relief operations were limited, and this made the aftermath even more challenging. So, to answer our last question, what was the legacy? Well, the Indian Ocean Tsunami shocked the entire world. It led to an outpouring of sympathy and aid from countries around the globe. Billions of dollars poured in to help the affected nations. The tragedy also highlighted the need for a robust tsunami warning system in the Indian Ocean, and this led to the creation of the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning System, which includes a network of buoys and monitoring stations to detect seismic activity and issue timely alerts. However, despite all the aid and the efforts to improve early warning systems, the scars of the tsunami remain even today. Many survivors still live with physical and psychological wounds, and entire communities are yet to fully recover economically. This was a true global tragedy. It affected people of all ages, backgrounds, and nationalities. It was a stark reminder of the power of nature and the importance of preparedness and international cooperation in the face of such disasters. I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please subscribe and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching. See you next time.